Trading, a beginner's questions answered. Hi, it's Charlie giving you Saturday's video, and I hope you're very well. So about a week ago, got some questions came in from a beginner trader, and so I thought, well, I'll put these to some of our traders. So I did it yesterday and Thursday to different groups of our traders. Put these questions. So it's about 7 questions, and as an exercise. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some of the answers of what I put to them, but I'd welcome any answers that you might have to any of these questions as well. Okay, so this person said that he's working to become a profitable trader and would appreciate any advice in relation to the following questions. So his first question was, what are the 2 character traits every excellent trader must have? Well, certainly I'd say number 1 would be tenacity. You've got to be able to just keep going. You've got to have that persistence to keep going when the market knocks you back, or your trading strategy stops working. You've got to have that persistence to keep going and either carry on trading through your, if your strategy's in a drawdown, or whether the strategy's just fallen over and it stopped working completely and you've got to find others. You've got to have that persistence to keep going, looking and being positive. So another character trait that was mentioned by our members was positivity, because the market will knock you back. It will challenge you. It will all of the time. And if you allow yourself to become negative when you are going through these challenging phases, because you will do, it will challenge you. Everybody has it. Then, if you're negative, then you're just going to get swallowed up. So you need to have that positive slant on everything. Let me give you an example. So you could have a trader who has missed a trade. So let's say, okay, look, actually, let's take this gold. This is a daily chart of gold here, and it's just had a really big run up here. So actually, let's take this down to maybe an hourly chart, so we can see what it's done once it's loaded. Oh, now it's taking its time. And so let's assume, for whatever reason, you were going to buy, I don't know, you're going to buy a pullback. So you're going to buy this pullback down into this zone here. You had, for whatever reason, you had a setup, and then you missed the setup, and then you've then seen this gold just going higher and higher and higher the rest of the day. Now, you could get really negative about that and be really annoyed with yourself, annoyed because you've missed it, and then you, for whatever reason, you can't justify buying in as it goes higher, and you're sitting there being frustrated. Now, you could always turn that negative into a positive by saying, well, at least my analysis was correct. So that's just a simple situation, a very light one there, of turning a negative into a positive. And so I encourage people to do this all of the time, because it's a bit like when you're going through your trading journal, and you could have, let's say you've had a losing period over a period of a few weeks or whatever, and you could just look at your NP&L and say, oh, I've lost money over the last few weeks. No, you delve into your trading journal, because quite often there'll be a few trades in there which were what I call fine lines, whereby they might have actually got really close to your profit target, for example, and then rolled over, or they could have just come down, stopped you out, and then went all the way back up and would have gone to your target. So unless you review your trading journal, you're going to forget all of that sort of stuff, and you're just going to look at the end result and say, oh, I lost money. Again, being negative. Whereas having a positive mindset towards these things, you'd look at it and say, well, actually, yes, I've still lost over the period, but delving into it, there's a fair few positives within there. It was just a close call. So easily, a couple of those trades could have worked out slightly differently, and my entire result would have been different. In which case, that's really encouraging. Do you see what I mean? So you can turn something which is negative very much into a positive. So there's a couple of character traits. I welcome any others that you guys want to submit. The next one is, his question is, why do over 90% of traders fail? And I think what you have to do is put it into context, actually. 90%, of the 90% of traders that fail, a high percentage of that 90% give up within their first 6 months of trading. So what does that tell you? So why do they fail? it's because they don't have probably some of those traits that I've just mentioned, but certainly tenacity. So they quit very quickly. They probably come into trading with false views. They have a get rich quick type mindset, then realize quite quickly within those first few months, oh, this isn't working out how I thought it was going to be, and then throw in the towel, and that's it. So I think that the statistic is a little bit misleading because it sounds like, oh, 90% of all traders fail. It's because so many of them quit within that first sort of 6 months of trading. And that's really why the bulk of them fail. After that, though, there's still obviously people that still quit. Obviously, long after that, there can be a multitude of reasons why that, but most of it is down to mindset. Most of it's down to mindset. If a new trader could focus on only one thing to succeed in trading, what would that one thing be? So again, I had several answers to this question as well. My one, and one of many of my traders, was mindset. So if you could have only one thing to succeed in trading, it would be mindset. Because mindset's sort of all encompassing. Because people sort of started saying, well, discipline as a thing to focus on, risk management, which are all correct, but they sort of all come under. If you haven't got the right mindset, then you won't have the discipline. If you haven't got the right mindset, then your risk management will go array. If you know, and all of these other things, you'll overtrade. All the things that traders do, which are not good, revenge trading, whatever. It comes back down to mindset. So that would be the thing that we would recommend. But again, I appreciate anyone else's comments there on what is if you could only focus on one thing in trading, what would it be? What you've heard there, you've not heard anything about strategy, have you? It's all about this other stuff. So strategy is part of trading, but if you could only focus on one thing, strategy is like a byproduct of what you're doing. And you have to have strategies, but if you don't have the mindset, you could have a good strategy and you'll still end up failing with it. What are the biggest myths in trading? Oh, I mean, I guess many of them are that you can become a multi-gazillionaire overnight sort of thing, and you see a lot of that on your Instagram and stuff like that. So those are some of the biggest myths in trading, I guess. But the fact that it's so inflated, there's a lot of nonsense out there, isn't there? And so unfortunately, when I go onto YouTube, I see adverts all of the time. And some of the adverts I see on YouTube, I do have to laugh. There was one of some guy in a jet the other day, and then he pretended that he just got a message come in, and he was in a jet. Oh, I've just had a message come through conveniently from one of my customers. It's just nonsense. So there's a lot of myths out there. Right. In trading, what are the biggest wastes of time and energy? We collectively talked about this yesterday, and one of the biggest wastes of time and energy is sitting in front of your screens, staring at your trades, staring at a trade that you've got into. And I remember doing this when I was a beginner trader. You put a trade on and you just want to watch it all of the time, and you think that by you watching it is somehow or other going to make a difference. So that, I would say, is probably the biggest waste of time and energy. Is once you've got into a trade. All right, if you're a scalper, it might be different, but if you've got into it, because you have to be there, but if you've got into a trade, screen watching, screen staring is probably one of the biggest wastes of time and energy that you can have, because you are literally then completely absorbed by every uptick and downtick, and therefore it affects your stress levels and all sorts. It's just ridiculous, so no point. But again, I welcome any other comments as far as biggest waste of time and energy in trading. What mistakes do traders make? Oh, crikey. It's got pro traders make, and what mistakes do amateur traders make? Well, amateur traders are going to make every mistake in the book, and the difference with a pro trader is they'll make less of them. So amateur traders will revenge trade. They'll overtrade for excitement. They will be affected by things like fear and hesitation, and they will bank their profits too soon. They won't use stop losses. All those sorts of things amateur traders will make because they're not obviously trading correctly. Professional traders will just make fewer of those mistakes. So it's more likely that a pro trader is going to have much better risk management, for example, than some of those amateur traders who decide that not using a stop loss is the way to go, sort of thing. So a pro trader will do things slightly different in that regard. But what mistakes do pro traders make? They'll still make mistakes. I make mistakes. I have to hold my hand up sometimes. I'm trading on several different accounts, and some now and again I do an execution error. So I pop that it might be the wrong position size in on one of the accounts because I'm filling in trades on various different accounts all at the same time. And so again, I can make mistakes like that. So certainly, from my experience, I have made execution errors at times and popped the wrong position size in on the wrong on an account which I should have put a different size on. So I guess those are the sorts of things. But pro traders, they can be prone to making similar sorts of mistakes to amateur traders. They're still humans after all, and they will still occasionally have that urge to revenge trade, for example. They should just be better at controlling that emotion. Okay, so it should be desensitized. What helped you turn a corner to become profitable? Okay, this is the last question here. What helped me be, or anybody, again, I welcome any answers to any of these questions here. For me, it was realizing that discipline was important. So for me, I've covered this off before, but this was like my equity curve in the early days. Oops, didn't mean to do that. That's just a pen just all of a sudden shot off the bottom of the screen there. So if this was my equity curve, what I was doing was making a bit of money and then giving it back, making a bit of money and then giving it back. And what was happening is when I was making a bit of money, I was getting overconfident, overconfident at this point, because my natural tendencies as a trader are that I'm a confident greed-based trader in my natural tendency. So as soon as I'd have a winning spell, then I would start getting overconfident and then lack the discipline, and then my equity would come down because I'd lack discipline and start taking trades that I wasn't taking during this phase. And maybe I was then upping my risk or whatever at that stage, and then my equity would come down. So for me, the light bulb moment was realizing that actually, if I can cut this out after I'm having a winning spell, then actually my equity curve started to continue to go higher. And so it was a simple thing, but all of a sudden you realize that discipline is important, and you have to be patient and wait for the right trades to come along. And so that was the big thing for me. But everyone's an individual. Everyone's got different light bulb moment for them. So I welcome your feedback on that as well. There you go. So that's all the questions there for this week. So I thought they were quite good questions actually, and so I welcome any of your feedback this week on that.